So today we've got a family entrepreneurship happening here, which is kind of cool. I kind of forced my wife into it a bit. So I'm curious to see how you guys work this out so who started the whole idea of family entrepreneurship?
Oh,
Was it
that
Isaac?
would be Isaac.
It was it would be me. Yeah.
Okay, so
I forced my wife too. Yeah.
Yeah. You really
Yeah.
got me out of my comfort zone.
I've heard that so many times, that same statement.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Give me a quick, we got like 2 or 3 minutes we'll spend on this topic, but how did you start that whole thing?
So I've done web development and programming since my first line of code was probably in 2004. So I've always hustled on the side whenever I held full-time jobs. Left my job, or actually they had cutbacks back in 2007. Was self-employed from 2007 to 2009. Went back working because economy, that whole 2009 economy stuff that happened. So I went back to work, got the itch again around 2016. At that time, my wife was, doing an MLM that she was doing. She picked up a lot of social media experience. So when she left that or stopped doing that, I was like, well, I have web development clients. They need social media. So I kind of started selling her services and kind of pushing her to do that. So I got her 1, 2, I think we were up to like 4 or 5 clients. And then I was like, babe, do you want more? And she was like, no, I don't know that I could handle anymore. At that same time, I was trying to figure out what we were going to do, like if she wanted to do something else. And I grabbed weekly, before COVID, I would grab cigars with a buddy of mine. He's a business owner, business entrepreneur, and he does consulting. So he consulted with a franchise in Austin that were just starting out. They wanted their first franchisee to be in San Antonio. And it was kind of like, hey, you're able to bootstrap it, since this is kind of like we're testing the waters. I think I went back to my wife, and I can't remember her exact phrase, but
laughed.
it was, she
Probably
laughed.
said, hell no.
I was like, seriously, I'm not going to be running events like that.
Yeah.
At what
So
time?
So that was the whole response. And then I kind of pushed on, and it kind of like just was dropping like little hints here and there. And
How long did that take?
that whole process
To get her on board?
To get her on board was probably a couple months, I would say.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, because weekly I would meet with this guy, and then I would come back with more information, and then I would meet with the guy and come back with more information. And
I think we learned we have to slow cook our wives into the idea,
Well,
right?
I was going to ask on the other end, what was the final straw that broke the camel's back and made you say yes?
I think when just, conversations going back and forth, selling it to a family, not just, it's not going to just be me doing all this work. It's going to be, we had our oldest now, he's an adult, and then our second son, he's getting ready to be an adult. So at that time, they were, I think, like 14, 15 years old at the time. So that, that would be really great for them to run these events. It'd be a great experience for them. So that, I think, ultimately was like, okay, I think if we would have our family meetings too, just kind of, going back and forth with different ideas. And so I, seeing the excitement on my boys' faces, I was like, okay, I think we can do this. So then we moved forward, and then we went
had
to
a first
meet.
meeting. Yeah, we had a first meeting with the franchisor in Austin, and
Well, before you get to that, how did you feel when she finally said yes?
I'm a risk taker. Yeah, and it's, to the point of like, oh my gosh, this was bad. This was bad, but I'd rather make a mistake than.
Was it validation of your idea when
It was,
because I know that feeling too.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it was like, once she was on board, I was like, oh, okay, I got pepped up because, I do what I do. My stuff is, I do web development. That's like highly skilled. I'm kind of tied to the work. The work's kind of tied to me, but I wanted to find something that was like, oh, okay, this is manageable by other people and not just us.
Oh, leverage. One of my favorite words.
Yeah. Yeah. So when she was on board, that was awesome. When the kids were on board, that was awesome. And naturally our house becomes the house where all the teenagers come over to eat. So all of our kids' friends come over, and I just cook up for them. So a lot of them naturally became our coaches or our employees.
Yeah, so that was really nice
from
because
within.
We didn't really have to go looking for, coaches to run these events. They really were like, I want to know what y'all are doing, So, we would bring out laser tag just to test the waters, see, They'd
The
have a
funnest
blast.
house
have
on the
fun first.
block.
Yeah,
Like,
that'll
hey,
help.
how do you feel about working and doing this? So it was naturally like it just came together.
And since then, I mean, you obviously had your web development company, and then you bought into this franchise, and now you're up to how many businesses? 4?
4 businesses,
4.
yeah. And my son has his own business, so I don't count that as, like, I don't run anything on that one. So
So would
Yeah,
you say
so-
kind of like expanding and scaling and growing businesses is a little addicting for you guys?
it is.
How do you
It-
keep
it-
up with it though? That's a big question.
That is the
So
question.
yeah, I mean,
I'm sensing a little over here, a disturbance in the force. There.
so Elaine's primary, like, so when we first started, it was we both did Freedom Fund stuff, and I helped with a lot of events, and then slowly but surely I'm starting to pull back, and Elaine fully runs that. She has an admin now that helps with calls
Nice.
that we text before we came over here and said, hey, we're not available from this time to this time. Answer the phones, and then the other business was a laundromat. Before the laundromat, it was going to be something else, another franchise. But the laundromat we purchased, I moved down there. Since my business is kind of mobile, and I did Zoom meetings, I did Zoom calls, I programmed at night. And during the day, I was fixing machines and calling support and getting stuff running and getting ready for opening. So I probably lived down there for about a month and a half. Yeah, then at my parents' house, and then got my parents to run it, and that's kind of like their retirement. Hey, y'all run your own schedule because they, my both blue collar workers. My mom, was housekeeping all her life. My dad was in maintenance all his life. Not very good jobs. He's pushing close to, I think it was 67, 68. No, 68. We bought him the wrong candles, I remember. And so they have them outside cutting yards in this heat. And I'm like, man, you don't need to be doing that. So, this is kind of like a hope, help them kind of retire-ish, but they're still kind of working, and he can tinker with machines. The fourth one, that one's more so like, I guess I try to just break my time apart. It's digital ad displays. So like it's usually 1 week I'm kind of focusing on that and then doing some, coding and programming at night. And then the next week it's vice versa. I'm just strictly Echo. And then after this, we're going to go grab lunch, and I'm headed down to Corpus because I got machines that are down that I need to help my dad with, but I'm taking my work with me. So, I think that's kind of how I handle it.
What's the biggest business of the ones you guys are involved in? Is it the Freedom Fund?
I say
Freedom?
it is. It's the most probably the one that has more undertaking.
Yes.
A little bit more overhead because we got more staff to deal with.
Right.
We're how many coaches do we have?
13.
Yeah,
Yeah,
13 coaches. So there's scheduling. There's
payroll, there's details for the events, there's
she was on the phone renting a trailer that we need for another event, so that way our guys can just roll up stuff, the heavy equipment onto the trailer. And so yeah, Elaine pretty much primarily just does that with the help of the guys and her admin.
So, and you've been doing it how long now, the Freedom Fund?
Since 2019. So
fall of 2019.
yeah, right before COVID.
Right before
Right
COVID.
before
Yeah,
the
that was
life
interesting.
changed.
So how do you guys stand out? Obviously, these are like, outdoor event kind of things going on. What do you guys focus on to make this thing like a really cool experience for your customers?
So with Freedom Fund, we offer 3 options. There's different packages for different budgets. So, not a lot of companies do that. So one option would be warehouse pickup, where, it's the least inexpensive package. Customer comes to our location, picks up the equipment. We'll show them how to operate everything. They go with written material, with videos, just in case they need to reference, once they get back to their event. Then they can return it the next day. The second option would be delivery. That's where, we'll have a coach. They'll go deliver it. They'll make sure to set everything up for the customer, show them how to operate it again, and then pick it up when either the event is over or the next day, so whatever the customer prefers. The last option would be concierge, where they request a coach out there, not only to set it up, but to remain there, run the matches, run the activities. And then once the event is over, they can pack up and leave. So it's literally, the customer doesn't have to lift a finger. Our guys do everything.
What type of event are people choosing? Which of those 3? Like, are they choosing to pick up and drop off themselves? I mean, which package are they choosing
I
the
feel like
most?
there's honestly a big
It's all
mix,
over the
right?
it's all over the
I
spectrum.
wouldn't say
Yeah,
there's
people
one
who
or
want
the
to
other.
save money, they're the ones who want to come pick it up and
Yeah.
test run, set up themselves.
Yeah,
kinda
I
deal.
see they're equally distributed across the
And
board.
some people who don't want to mess with it, just like, oh, I want you to set it up and break it down.
What's your most popular activity?
The most popular activity, at least for right now, because of the heat, has either been outdoor movie screens or foam parties. So, it's a little later in the evening, or they do a foam party super early. So before, where we'd be setting up maybe like the afternoon, you can drop it off at 9 o'clock, in the morning. So the foam parties, those are a lot of fun. We work with a lot of churches, schools, HOAs, backyard birthday parties, company, just company parties, things like that. So, but yeah.
So customer service was an area that you said you guys really focus on, making
yeah.
sure that it's
Yes,
really
yes.
a personal, high-level experience from start to finish. Talk about that.
Right. So we get a lot of positive feedback from our customers regarding our customer service because, there's so many times that we hear, we'll get a call almost weekly saying, hey, we're in a panic mode, we were booked with this company, but they called to cancel. We just don't do that unless it's like, weather related where, hey, let's think of something else. Can we move it indoors? Things like that. We work with our customers to reschedule anything should that be a factor. We don't just drop the ball and say, oh, well, you lost your money. We don't like to be that person. We're not that company to do that. So we will follow through with all the details. One of the things that, once we talk to the customer, the sale goes through, we're there from, we're going to be contacting them in between up until the event, just to ensure that we have all the details correct. Because we never want to show up to an event unprepared, or, hey, we decided to move it, on pavement instead of grass, and oh man, we don't have the right setup equipment. We never want to do that. So we always want to go fully prepared with as much detail.
Yeah, please have your act together, right? It's
Yes.
because the event is important to the person having the event,
Very
right?
much so, yeah.
And when you guys come and you treat it the same way through the whole process, not just on the day, but you're showing that care and concern through the whole process, it means a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, we have. Oh, go on.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so we have on our wall inside our warehouse. The warehouse is the garage. Stapled laminated sheets and their guides for every event. So it's like a movie, and their pictures. Our guys come in, they get the checklist. It's their checklist. They're like, oh, okay, I need to get one of these. I need to get one of these. Like everything is always the same. We know everything is on there, and once they check their list, we know that at the event, they test all the equipment before the event. It's to that extent of high quality. So
Where did that come from?
that came from the franchise. The
So they have
franchisor.
their act together.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's very
yeah.
much so.
And
They-
I think too, as we came on board, there were things that they saw like, oh, we wouldn't have thought of doing it that way. So
Always
we've
learning.
perfected, the system,
The whole
and then it still
process.
continues to be perfected. There's changes that new franchises come on board, and we're like, oh, we didn't think about that either. So I think the fact that the franchisor and everybody on comes together and is on board and implements these changes for the better, it just works.
Well,
Any
and
ch- go ahead.
I feel like the sign of a good franchise is your people can come in and they have the systems to really be successful.
Oh, yeah.
But with the customer service piece, the way you were talking about that sounds a little bit more personal to you. Is that part of your personality?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah, I really, the moment that I get on the phone call with the customer, we have like a connection, whether, it's a mom talking about, their child, and it's just immediately tells me, oh yeah, let me tell you what would work for this age range, or, or if it's a grandmother or a grandfather or a dad, oh, let me tell you what worked for this other party. So I think that's where I typically shine. I've, in the past, that's primarily the roles that I had, with customer service. So I think it just came together really well with Freedom Fun.
And it's reflected in your Google reviews, right?
Yes.
How many do you guys have right now?
I believe it's 118 last time I checked.
118.
So, yeah, and all 5
All-
stars.
all 5
which is
stars, yeah.
really nice,
That's huge.
So we.
Well, whose fault is that? Is it
Yeah,
yours?
it's
Is that
definitely
your
Elaine.
No, it's Elaine.
That's all her fault.
Yeah, I see you looking
yeah.
at her like, yeah, it's all 5-star.
Yeah, no, it's all because of her. Yeah,
You know,
she's
and-
very sweet. She's very
we're
sweet.
going to have customers that, sometimes something didn't pan out that way. We're not, perfect. So, but I do go out of my way to make it right, whether it's, a customer didn't feel that this was, they didn't have enough servings here, they didn't do this or that. I really go out of my way to just say, hey, let's make this right. Let's do this, or let me give you, let's do a discount this time, or, something to make sure
we just
that
had
customer.
that recently happened where it was a movie, and the guys that, I guess they forgot some items or something like that, and the movie didn't go too well. Well, Elaine went over and above and contacted the customer like the very next day, the next business day, and just saying, hey, listen, I know it didn't go well. We're going to give you a free movie of your choosing at a future date, and we want to show you exactly what we do. That's not our normal way of doing business. So it's that over and above that Elaine always goes forward and makes sure that the customer is happy.
So speaking of movies, you got a story about a soldier coming home, right? Tell us about that.
Yes. So I remember getting that phone call, and this one, you never know what phone call you're going to get. It's always what conversation you're going to have when the call comes through. Well, this gentleman, I can hear him, and his voice is cracking, and I'm like, sir, are you okay? How can I help you? And he's like, I can't find anybody to do, something that I have envisioned for my son who's coming back from being deployed. So I was like, okay, well, tell me a little bit more, And he says, we have, we live on the island, which is in Corpus, and we have a channel of water. And we want, all the neighborhood is, in on it. They've known my son. They've grown up with my son. And so we want to put on this big display of everybody, doing something in the backyard, because their backyard's the water, So they wanted to have a movie screen on a yard across, so that way when he came through, he'd be able to see, and just a slideshow of just, pictures of
him growing up.
Yes, growing up, family, friends, things like that. So, a lot of times people don't want to travel that far, or they don't have the services out there. So we do. If a customer is willing to pay a travel fee, we'll go just about anywhere, to make an event happen. And so, he says, I'm willing to pay. It's, and then he just starts bawling. And of course, we offer military discounts too. So, of course, I offered that. And, I think at the end of that, I had to compose myself, because I think I was just in tears, And then Isaac and another, I think it was our son who actually did that event, and I don't think there was a dry eye in that, during
there was
that
sand
event.
in my eye.
Well, there's a beach, right?
So yeah.
So it's just something really special, that we were able to deliver that and do it exactly how he had envisioned it. And so those are the types of things that just warms my heart,